after 3 of 15 races. Gabriel Mini is leading the way on 43 points ahead of Arthur Leclerc and teammate Sebastian Montoya, the winner of the first race at Abu Dhabi. Gabriel Bortoleto, who was the winner of the second race, maintains position number 4 ahead of Lorenzo Flusha, Isaac Hadjar, Jack Crawford, second of the Red Bull drivers. Leonardo Fornaroli and Pepe Marti leads Dino Begonovic, who hasn't had the greatest of starts. The young driver, he's made it a little bit more difficult for himself. Of course, one of the Ferrari Driver Academy drivers. High-Tech Grand Prix, no surprise, are leading the team's classification. Mumbai Falcons India Racing Limited, position number 2 and 3 wide by RACE GP. They are the 3 teams that have taken a victory so far in season 2022. He may have failed to finish the second race after contact whilst battling for a podium result. The 16-year-old Italian Gabriel Mini has been an absolute standout, leads by that 3-point margin over the consistent Charles Leclerc. Second generation racer and race 1 winner Sebastian Montoya is third, and he's done exactly what he did at Abu Dhabi. Set the fastest qualifying time in the opening qualifying session, then suffered a little bit of a setback in the second session, had his next quickest time scrubbed, and that dropped him further back down the order. We are running this weekend despite originally scheduling to be on the GP circuit. We're on the international circuit, 4.29 kilometres, 11 turns, clockwise rotation. Of course, the Dubai Autodrome opened in October 2004. And for reference, the Formula Regional Asia Championship lap record was set last year by Guanyu Zhou, who would go on to take the championship victory. Of course, he has signed in alongside Valtteri Bottas to be the Alfa Romeo Formula 1 driver this year. The pace, a 1:35.405. Go back to qualifying. That was a very stellar session. And here is the calendar as it is set. 5 events, 5 rounds from the 21st to the 23rd of January all the way through to the 17th to 20th of February. We start at Yas Marina, we finish at Yas Marina. And we have 3 weekends back-to-back at the Dubai Autodrome. So that will make things very interesting. This is very much a carbon copy of the 2021 season, and that played out very, very nicely. In fact, one of those drivers who contended for the championship last year has rejoined the field, racing for former champions, Black Arts Racing. And that, of course, is the man who took 6 victories in season 2021. Pierre-Louis Chauvet. He fell just marginally short, 16 points in the end of Guanyu Zhou for the title, but he rejoins the championship. Here we are, live pictures from the Dubai Autodrome, and the cars get ready for what we hope will be a clean 30-minute race. Tough run last time out, of course, in race 3. We saw that big accident off the start line, which did have an impact. Sadly, we lost Chembuluk Basi as a result of that start line accident at Yas Marina. But he, Amna Alkabasi and Salih Julich were all okay thanks to the safety built in to these TARDIS F3 chassis. And all those drivers were okay. But unfortunately for Buluk Basi, the preparations for his F2 season and the damage that was incurred on that car have sidelined him, and sadly we may not see the Turkish driver again for the rest of this season. That's not a certainty as of yet, but a number of these drivers will come and go. Gabriel Mini is one of those. This will be his last race weekend in the Formula Regional Asian Championship certified by FIA. He moves back to Europe after this weekend to continue his preparations for the European season. A number of these drivers will join him at various stages as they work their way towards building more mileage and gaining greater experience in these open wheel formula. We're talking about that 1:35.405 benchmark set during the 2021 rounds here by Guanyu Zhou in qualifying your opening session earlier today. First 15-minute session taken again by Sebastian Montoya, and a carbon copy of what he achieved at Abu Dhabi. Adrian David, who'd been very impressive during testing and even through into free practice leading into the qualifying session, he was in fact fastest with a 33.909. Sebastian Montoya set pole position with a 34.335. We talked about this at Abu Dhabi, the GT Compete GTR1 tyres, the slicks that are mandated for this category and have been for the previous 4 seasons, are a very hard wearing compound. Now that's all about making the drivers drive. That's what this formula is all about. I know that sounds a little bit odd, but in all reality, you want to make it a little bit more difficult as these drivers. You heard from Sebastian Montoya pre-race talking about just how important it is to get miles in these cars, but also to learn. Most of these drivers are learning. They've come from karts, they've come from Formula 4, a very different formula to these Formula 3 spec chassis. The performance of the engines, the aerodynamics, the bigger tyres, the grip levels, how to understand and work on that. If they're worrying about maximising tyre wear, that's really taking away things from learning more about the whole dynamic of running an F3 chassis. So by running the harder compound, yes, it's a little bit more difficult, it's more physical to drive, but isn't that what learning is all about? So these drivers are coming to grips with all of these things, and we have seen in previous qualifying sessions that it does take a few laps to get the tyres up to temperature. The other issue they've got is in the event of a safety car, and we saw quite a number of those during the opening round, the first 3 races of the season just a week ago, is maintaining tyre temperature, which is exactly why the cars are weaving on the circuit at the moment, just to get some level of tyre temperature up prior to this standing start. A couple of drivers had dramas getting off the line. Gabriel Mini suffered that unfortunate drama during the aborted start in race 3 at Abu Dhabi. Jack Crawford was one who suffered, unfortunately, despite qualifying on the front row, dropped all the way back to rear of field for his maiden race in the championship. And despite 7 of the 14 laps being held under safety car, he worked his way back into position number 11, which sadly for him was 1 place short of starting for pole position for race 2. So unlike previous seasons, the grid for race 2, certainly the top 10, is the finishing results of race 1 inverted. So the winner will start 10th. By contrast, the 10th place finisher from this race will start from pole position for tomorrow morning's second race. All 15 races, 30 minutes duration, unless of course we do have a red flag or safety car interventions. Clock will continue to tick, but as we saw during race 3 at Abu Dhabi, the clock stopped whilst safety crews made sure drivers were all okay, removed the cars from the circuit wherever circuit repairs needed to be made. They achieved those too, and we started the clock again. So, right of screen is your pole sitter for Mumbai Falcons Racing, Sebastian Montoya. Alongside, left of screen, Adrian David. Behind them, Jack Crawford and Pepe Marti. Dino Begonovic, Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hadjar, Gabriel Mini, Arthur Leclerc back in position number 9, and Paul Aron, who's been very impressive through practice and testing as well, will start from position number 10. Delano Vanterhoff's good to see him back after some health issues last weekend. Joshua Dufek, Pierre-Louis Chauvet, the runner-up in the championship last year, starts from position number 13. We'll get the green flag, hopefully rear of field. Lights will go on. Once lights are out, all 26 cars. There's some gesturing going on rear of field. Hopefully no driver has an issue. It looks like we may well be good for a start. And once lights are out, we will be underway with the 4th race of the 2022 Formula Regional Asian Championship. Lights on, lights out, we are underway. A great start from Sebastian Montoya. 5-6 wide further back down the order. Trying to break the toe on that long run down to turn 1. Some very heavy racing going on back down the field. Dino Begonovic right in the mix too, and he may well have moved up to position number 2. A good start, but it looks like Montoya has gotten away cleanly, and he will lead the field as he did during the opening race. Down the inside, who's taking a look? Is that Adrian David? Yes, it is. The driver who started from position number 2. So very much a carbon copy of just 7 days ago. Oh, some very rough lines That looked like it may have been the Black Arts Racing entry. Pierre-Louis Chauvet at front of the field. Sébastien Montoya. Second is Hadrian David. Behind them, the Red Bull cars were in there, but it was a good start too by Dino Begonovic. It looks like he might be right in this fight at the front of the field, as the drivers look like they've gotten through the opening stanza of this late race very nicely, quite cleanly. No contact. That's just what we want to see. Good, hard, clean racing as much as humanly possible, because again, these drivers are cutting their teeth in open wheel formula and F3. That's what the classification of these cars are. We are in the regional championship. Yes, I understand that, but they are F3 cars. Are very, very quick indeed. So great learning, certainly from drivers like those two at the front of the field, who have never been under competition at this circuit previously. They run 1-2, and Hadrian David really has stepped up after a very tough opening weekend last time out. And he's right under the rear wing there of Sébastien Montoya. So we crossed the line for the first time. It's Sébastien Montoya, Hadrian David, Pepe Marti up to position 3. Dino Begonovic, yes, he was battling there in the top 3. A good start for him. Jack Crawford back to 5. Gabriel Bortoleto. Delano Vanterhoff has set the fastest first lap. Isaac Hadjar in position number 8. Gabriel Mini back to position number 9. Position 10 for Pierre-Louis Chauvet. Let's hope there's no penalty there after a couple of cars have run very wide in that opening lap. A little bit of opportunity, I guess, for the race director just to let drivers have a bit more room to move on that opening lap. So let's hope there is no penalties. Montoya defending hard. He knows that Hadrian David has been very impressive. He set the top qualifying time in the second session this morning. So he knows he's going to have to work very hard with that 3Y by R Ace GP entry right behind him. He's going to have a look. Won't go around the outside. Montoya protecting, but what that's doing is that's opened the door now for Pepe Marti to put his nose up the inside. Both Hadrian David and Pepe Marti had a very tough weekend last time out. Now, down the widest part of the circuit, Montoya is riding a very, very wide car. Shades of his father coming out. We saw that plenty of times in Formula 1 as Marti now decides to go 3 wide. I think Hadrian David's going to run him wide. Yes, he has. And that has opened the door now for Dino Begonovic. Further back, Mini leads Chauvet. Arthur Leclerc back to position number 11. They're a little bit further down the order. Joshua Dufek, Hamza Al-Khabaisi up to position 13. Leonardo Fornaroli has just jumped ahead of Hamza Al-Khabaisi. As Gabriel Bortoleto looks like he too is moving forward. It's getting very racy down the front straight. The two leaders still battling at the front. As now Dino Begonovic moves up to position number 3. Just drafted his way into position as Pepe Marti now, who was looking very much like he may well have taken the position away from Hadrian David. Just a few corners back, has dropped further down the order. The lead, 0.4 of a second. A second back to Dino Begonovic as we watch the race leaders again circulate. And what a great run this has been so far. The key so far to this championship has been to qualify on pole. The pole qualifiers or the pole starters in each of the 3 races to date have run away with victory. Oh, it's very racy further back. A good passing move down the inside. That could have been Delano Vanterhoff, who's making his first run in the championship this weekend after a health issue last weekend. He wasn't able to make a start. He is moving forward up to position number 7. Isaac Hadjar, position 8. Gabriel Mini still in position 9, and position 10 held by Arthur Leclerc. 11 is now Pierre-Louis Chauvet. Joshua Dufek in position 12. Leonardo Fornaroli in position 13. Hamza Al-Khabaisi back to 14. Nicola Marinangeli is up to position number 15. Frederick Lubin, who's been a little bit hit and miss so far, is back in position 16. Oliver Goethe in 17. Lorenzo Flusha in 18. 19 held by David Morales. Levent Urvez is in position number 20. Paul Aron has fallen back to position 21. He'd be frustrated with that. Ayato Iwasaki, position number 22. Leading Masters driver Khaled Al-Khabaisi is in position number 23. Leading his daughter Amna Al-Khabaisi. Sally Jolic ahead of Thomas Ludi. That rounds out your top 26 as Hadrian David sets the fastest lap so far of this race with a 1:35.981, and he's looking very, very menacing under the rear wing of Sébastien Montoya. Montoya just tries to break the toe, protect his line into the corner and force Adrian David to do it the hard way. Of course, battling like this at the front of the field just allows those drivers following to close up. Oh, a little bit of banging wheels. You don't want to do too much of that in an open wheel car. But certainly Adrian David has found some immense pace since the start of this weekend, and he's taken the lead. That is a great move. Just monstered Montoya, but Montoya hasn't given up yet as they go side by side. Now he might get a little bit of his own medicine. Adrian David's controlling the front running. There's not an opportunity there. Doing a fantastic job is Adrian David. He's opened up a bit of an advantage there, as Montoya must have just run a little bit wide on the exit, and that's allowed the young Frenchman to get away. Now David leading, Montoya second. Pepe Marti's moved back into contention and moving in on Sebastian Montoya. Dino Begonovic, this is a great run by the Mumbai Falcons team to be running second and fourth. Of course, their other entry and is running a little bit further back down the order, and that is Arthur Leclerc. He's still in position number 10. He's got Pierre-Louis Chevet, the runner-up of the 2021 season, right under his rear wing, and Joshua Dufek not too far behind. So good clean racing so far. Adrian David leads now by more than a second over Sebastian Montoya, who's under fire from Pepe Marti. Dino Begonovic not too far behind, nor is Jack Crawford in position number 5. Gabriel Bortoleto in position number 6, winner of race 2 of the championship. He is hoping to close down Crawford in front of him. He's got Gabriel Mini now up from 11 to position 7. So the young Italian driver is continuing his run forward. He's the championship points leader. But if things finish the way they are now, we might well see Sebastian Montoya come through. Now I see a flag. Is there a notification? Safety car announced. So somewhere on track potentially there may be an issue. I'm looking at a timing monitor that some of you may not be seeing. As Pepe Marti has the fastest lap of the race so far with a 35.861. There is the BMW safety car. Now, I wonder what is going on there. So far as drivers, Amna Al-Khabaisi has dropped back to position number 26. So she may have had an incident somewhere out on track that we've missed whilst following the leaders. Thomas Newdy in 25, Sully Jelic and Khalid Al-Khabaisi, the 3 Masters drivers. Well, there it is. That is, unfortunately, Amna Al-Khabaisi. See if we can determine where on the circuit she is. The other thing that's appearing on the timing monitor is a string of warnings for drivers. Track limits, predominantly at turn 16 and also at turn B, which is effectively, when you go from turn 1, it's turn 4 in this race, turn 16 being the final corner. So cars brought under the control of the safety car. Let's hope we can manage to clear away the Abu Dhabi Racing by Prema entry of Amna Al-Khabaisi from the circuit. But certainly Adrian David has been a real star since the start of this race weekend. Didn't have such great luck last time round. In fact, failed to finish races 1 and 2. But from the opening test session here earlier this week, he has been a real star performer. In fact, if we go back to the first test session, the pace was, in fact, set by Dino Begonovic. Adrian David was 3rd fastest. He was only mere hundredths of a second off the pace, 34.757 to a 34.630 by the Mumbai Falcons entry of Dino Begonovic. But in the second session was all Adrian David with a 134.403, which was 0.2 faster than Pepe Marti. So no real surprise that Pepe Marti is holding down position number 3. By the time we got to official practice and free practice 1 this morning, pace again set by Adrian David. Gabriel Mini, the championship points leader, was 2nd fastest. Jack Crawford, Sebastian Montoya were your top 4. And then we went into the opening qualifying session. Sebastian Montoya took the top qualifying position from Adrian David. And then the roles were somewhat reversed in the second session. Adrian David really holding on to that top spot for a fairly lengthy run. It may have only been 3 or 4 minutes, but in a 15-minute session, and the way these cars have come on song late in the qualifying session. We certainly saw that at Abu Dhabi. The tyres got better as the session ran on, and the faster times tended to come, much like we see in F1, towards the end of the session. But for Adrian David, he set that and nobody else could break it. Pepe Marti was right in the mix again. Gabriel Mini, Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hadjar, Jack Crawford, Arthur Leclerc, Sebastian Montoya, Dino Begonovic and Paul Aaron are your top 10 starting order for race 3. Again, the qualifying order, or the starting order for race number 2 tomorrow morning, will be the finishing top 10 of this race inverted. So 10th position will start from pole position. Currently, that position is being held by Arthur Leclerc. We go to the championship points. Arthur Leclerc is holding down position number 2. We heard from Gabriel Mini. Unfortunately, we're not going to see... okay, so there is damage to the right front. So you tend to suggest that Amna Al-Khabaisi has made contact with a rival at some point on the circuit, jostling for position. And she was certainly just off. Actually, sorry, it was Hamda Al-Khabaisi who's just off the tail of the top 10. She's now dropped back to position number 15. So Amna Al-Khabaisi was a little bit further back down the order. She was, of course, involved in that incident in race 3 at Abu Dhabi. Fortunately, she was okay, and fortunately too, the Abu Dhabi Racing by Prema operation, certainly having the Prema team on board, saw that car repaired and back in action for this weekend. She has good experience here, as does her sister and her father, being from the UAE. Have good mileage on these circuits. So lights are still on the safety car. The pace is going quite nicely. Hadrian David controls the front of the field. We watched Isaac Hadjar present his nose a number of times during the opening round at Abu Dhabi, whilst towards the front of the field. Unfortunately for him, all part of the learning experience, caught out on the curbs as he tried to move his way forward. And some of the curbs, certainly at Abu Dhabi, were quite significant. The sausage curbs and some double-edged, quite high curbs on the insides of many of the corners and on the exits on the apex. They caught a number of drivers out, forcing them offline, and when the competition is as tight as the Formula Regional Asian Championship, it doesn't take much for a couple of cars to run past and take positions away. So it's Adrian David, Sebastian Montoya, Pepe Marti, Dino Begonovic, Jack Crawford, Gabriel Bortoleto, Gabriel Mini, Delano Vanterhoff, Isaac Hadjar, Arthur Leclerc are your top 10. Pierre-Louis Chevet is currently position number 11, the runner-up in the 2021 season for Black Arts Racing. Joshua Dufek is probably a little bit further back than we may have expected. He was very competitive in the opening round of the championship. By round, I mean the first 3 races, last time out at Abu Dhabi. Leonardo Fornaroli in position 13. Nicola Marinangeli, I'll get it right before we get to the end of this championship, holds down position number 14. Hamdra El-Khabaisi in 15. Frederick Lubin in 16. Oliver Goethe, who had a pretty tough start to his championship at Abu Dhabi, is in position number 17. Lorenzo Flusha, runner-up in race 2 of the championships, is in position number 18. David Morales in 19. Paul Aram in position 20. Levent Erevez is in position number 21. He was just off the tail of the top 10 in the 3rd race at Abu Dhabi. He'll be hoping to move further forward as this race restarts. Iato Iwasaki, the young driver from the Philippines, in position number 22. Khalid El-Khabaisi leading the Masters category from Sally Jolic, who had a pretty tough run at the opening rounds, 3rd in the championship point scores, and Thomas Ludi, the former champion, the Hong Kong-based Swiss driver for Black Arts Racing, holding down position number 25. And sadly, as we saw on the recovery vehicle, for Amna Al-Khabaisi, that's not going to help her championship run. We are back under control of Adrian David. The safety car has gone. With 15 minutes to go, we will be back racing. This is just what we want to see. What can Montoya do? Pepe Marti has just set the fastest lap of the race going into that safety car period. Can he move forward? Dino Begonovic, what does he have? Is already the freight line further back is starting. That is a little bit further back. That may have been Delano Vanterhoff. He is enjoying his time with Pinnacle Motorsport and enjoying the opportunity to be back behind the wheel under race conditions after failing to start last time out. Good start by Hadrian David. He's managed to keep his tyre temperature up. He's got the jump on Montoya, who's now got Pepe Marti to worry about. Car's running very wide on the exit. Given a little bit of leeway, I'd imagine, this early in the piece. Although we shall see, as again Montoya protects. That's important too, but it is slowing your outright pace. Marti hasn't looked to dive down the inside. That's a good move, but a couple are looking to change position. That's back to the tail end of the top 10. You'll see the colours of the Mumbai Falcons racing team. There's one on the inside, and that is Sebastian Montoya protecting his position. Number 2, the blue, orange and white livery. So keep an eye out for Arthur Leclerc, who by virtue of Gabriel Mini retiring after this round will take over the championship points lead, but he's going to have to do something about Montoya, who coming into this round was just 2 points behind, and he will finish much further up the order if he does in fact finish. He's certainly fighting for position, but I think he's shown already he has a very wise head on young shoulders. The young Colombian has been very impressive, of course, can draw on the experience of his father, Juan Pablo, a 2-time Indy 500 champion, a 7-time Formula 1 Grand Prix race winner, to know when to fight hard, when to give up position, as he's just done there to Pepe Marti, and when to actually dive and make a big move down the inside. It's been very impressive. 16 years of age, Miami-based, was the winner of the very first round of this championship and is right in that championship hunt. But now back into position number 3, as that looks like Jack Crawford trying to make his intentions felt. He's doing a great job. Back in position 5, a member of the Red Bull Junior team, qualified second in both qualifying sessions at Abu Dhabi. And he's just moved his way up to position number 4, taken Dino Begonovic, who'd got up to 4th behind his teammate. Begonovic hasn't given up yet, though. He's looking to fight back. This is great racing from these young drivers. As Hadrian David sets the fastest lap of the race. Last time round, he's out to 2.19 seconds lead now over Pepe Marti, who's moved his way into second past Montoya, who's holding position. Begonovic now back behind Jack Crawford as they cross the line to put lap number 10 in the books. This will be win number 2 for the 3Y by our Ace GP team. Of course, their man Gabriel Bortoleto took the race 2 win last time out at Yas Marina. I don't think Montoya's given up just yet. He's not too far behind Pepe Marti. He may be able to recover and regroup. Of course, 3 sets of tyres from opening practice through to the end of the third 30-minute race. Those GT Compete GTR1 slick tyres. Weather conditions just about perfect. 21 degrees, light wind, humidity not too bad. We saw it up during the opening racing day of competition at Yas Marina. Got a lot more comfortable as that weekend wore on. Today, not too dissimilar, but ambient temperature up a little bit. Track temperatures in the mid-20s. It's a tyre where you wouldn't expect to be an issue. It'll be just drivers dialing themselves in and doing what they can. Again, Hadrian David was an absolute sensation during testing and practice. Set the fastest qualifying session in Q2, set the second fastest qualifying session in Q1 as the lead of this race now by 3.5 seconds, continuing to extend that advantage, a 35.142. We go back to last year's lap record set by Guanyu Zhou. That was a 35.405, so already 3/10 up on the standing lap record of the young Chinese driver. Hadrian David, Pepe Marti, Sebastian Montoya, Jack Crawford, Dino Begonovic, Gabriel Bortoleto, Delano Vanterhoff, Isaac Hadjar, Arthur Leclerc and Pierre-Louis Chauvet, who on his finish like this will start race 2 tomorrow, from pole position for the Black Arts Racing operation. Leonardo Fornaroli, Joshua Dufek, Nicola Marinangeli, 40.5. So he's dropped about 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds off the pace. He's now back down in position number 15, and he'd worked his way up as high as P7. So the young Italian driver, many of whom believe he will be a star of the future, and I don't think there's any reason to question that. The former F4 champion was a superstar in go-karts. He will be in the Formula Regional European Championship this year. He really has been a superstar in this championship. Comes into this round as the championship points leader despite not finishing the second race after contact battling for a position on the podium. So these will be valuable lessons too for him to recover from those things. We talked about drivers being forced offline and over curbs at the last stop on the championship. As there is Pepe Marti, now 4.1 seconds down from Adrian David, who's really putting on a display after what was a tough opening weekend. Only scored points in the third of the 3 30-minute races at Yas Marina. And currently, he is absolutely dominating this field. 4.145 seconds clear of Pepe Marti. Less than a second back to Sebastian Montoya, who holds a similar margin back to Jack Crawford. Similar margin again back to Dino Begonovic, and again to Gabriel Bortolito. So the top drivers are running fairly close. Delano Vanterhoff, Isaac Hadjar and Arthur Leclerc are in fairly close contact. And then a good 2 second gap back to Pierre-Louis Gervais in position number 10. Oh, there's car number 4. That's the unfortunate Gabriel Mini. The crew, that very experienced high-tech crew, are not rushing too hard. They're taking a good look at the right front of the car, and there may well have been contact with one of the drivers ahead of him. Certainly Bortolito, Begonovic, who was a little bit further forward. Hadjar and Delano Vanterhoff were in that group. As now Adrian David has extended that lead again to just on 5 seconds. His last lap, a 1:35.0. Last lap for Pepe Marti, who's under fire from Montoya, a 35.6. 35.7 from Montoya, 35.7 from Jack Crawford. So certainly not losing any of the pace that he showed earlier this weekend is Adrian David, and that will really give him a good boost in this championship. Tomorrow, set local time, 9:50 AM, we will see round 5, or race 5 rather, in round 2 of the championship. Race 6 will come at 2:05 PM local time in the UAE. That's 4 hours plus on Greenwich Mean Time. Make sure you join us for what will be a great extension of what will be a fantastic championship. It really does kick off the year in style with respect to good, hard, open-wheel racing. Gives plenty of these drivers an opportunity to just dial themselves in before they start on their championships in different parts of the world. Very widely spread field of drivers from all regions on the globe. We have the timing coming up now, so you can see what's happening there. Cars just weaving. And that's why that looks like it's Thomas Liudi. So after drama fell to his rivals, giving him a clear championship points lead after Yas Marina, Thomas Liudi, unfortunately, looks to have claimed the barriers at some point, or in fact another vehicle. We will find certainly more out about that after the race. Keep tabs on the various social media platforms. www.f3asia.com will also keep you updated. Thank you, Kemp from PR Plus. Across most things that are going on, certainly across everything going on these race weekends. And there is a lot happening, certainly with a lot of these young drivers. Some who, to speak to, present very mature heads with the way they approach the weekends. We've certainly tried to send them some testing questions over the course of the last couple of weeks, just to get some level of reaction as to where they felt they were or where they felt their rivals were. They weren't being drawn on those things. But of course, we spoke about this at Abu Dhabi. They may be 16, 17, 18 years of age. In fact, 2/3 of the field are under 18 or 18 and under. They have been competing for many of them for 10 years or more. So they know all about racecraft. Some of them are very successful in junior formula, certainly in go-karts. Some have come out of different disciplines, but for the most part they have good race experience now. With 3 minutes 20 on the clock, we may see a repeat performance of the opening round of the season, the opening race of the year at Abu Dhabi, where we finished under safety car. That handed the win to Sebastian Montoya, but despite qualifying on pole this time, Adrian David is going to break the mould if he takes this victory, because to this point the first 3 races of this championship were won by the pole sitter. At the moment, Adrian David started on the front row, but he looks set to take race victory as the recovery vehicles look to pick up Thomas Liudi's car, although the experienced veteran, former winner in the Masters category in the F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA, and podium finisher or podium place getter in past years, is an experienced campaigner. So he may have been out of a race car for a couple of years with respect to competition. He's done a little bit of testing certainly back at home. Zhou is a circuit in China just across from Hong Kong that does see a lot of the Asian regulars, certainly the Hong Kong based drivers. So it's the home base of the Black Arts racing operation. Do a lot of testing there. He would have done plenty of that prior to jumping back in the car, but he knows too that if he's involved in an incident and the car is still able to be moved off a racing line, he will find an opportunity to get the car away to allow the competition to continue. And that may well have happened, but the clock is counting down. 1 minute 35, lights still on. Let's just see what happens and how this plays out. How it will play out certainly for Adrian David. If he gets 25 points, he will certainly leap up the order in the championship. Currently has 2 points, is holding down position number 12. Gabriel Mini will not score any additional points from this race. Arthur Leclerc is in position number 9 in this race, so that's 2 more points to his total. That'll take him to 42. Sebastian Montoya on 38 points, potentially will finish in position number 3, so that will give him 53 points. That will leapfrog him to the top of the championship points table. 40 seconds remaining. It looks like Thomas Liudi's car has been recovered. The cars at the moment look like they're heading down to the final corner, down to turn 16. The lights are still on, 16 seconds remaining. Does the safety car dive into pit lane and just let the race leader cross the line as they did with Montoya during that opening race? In the wrong part of the circuit, I beg your pardon. That was down to turn 10 in 11, coming to 12. Clock is 0. No further updates, but if this is the way they finish, it'll be Adrian David, Pepe Marti, Sebastian Montoya, Jack Crawford, Dino Begonovich, Gabriel Bortolito, Delano Vanterhoff, Isaac Hadjar, Arthur Leclerc, Pierre-Louis Chauvet. Lights are off. Clock is 0. Let's see if we are presented with the checkered flag as we come to the line. And if that is the case, and that is our finishing order, Arthur Leclerc will in fact start from position number 2 for tomorrow's race 5. Isaac Hadjar, Delano Vanterhoff will be on row 2. Gabriel Bortoleto, Dino Begonovich on row 3. Jack Crawford, Sebastian Montoya on row 4. Pepe Marti and Hadrian David will start from the 5th row. And I would expect we will see the checkered flag waved for race 4 winner, Hadrian David, for 3Y by R Ace GP. And there it is, second across the line, Pepe Marti. Sebastian Montoya leaps to the lead in the championship point standings, taking position number 3 for the Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited operation. Jack Crawford, more good points for him too. He came into this round in position number 7 with 24 points. Dino Begonovich, Sebastian Montoya's teammate, in position number 5. Gabriel Bortoleto, Delano Vanterhoff, Isaac Hadjar, Arthur Leclerc and Pierre-Louis Chauvet, the 2021 runner-up to Guanyu Zhou, will start race 2 tomorrow morning at 9:50 a.m. from pole position. Leonardo Fornaroli, position number 11. Joshua Dufek, position 12. Lorenzo Flusha in position 13. Nicola Marinangeli in position 14. Paul Aron moved forward just a little to position number 15. Frederick Lubin in position number 16. David Morales in 17. Levent Hervez in position number 18. Oliver Goethe in 19. Unfortunately, not a great run for him after a very tough start to the season. Hamdi El-Kabasi, position number 20. Ayato Iwasaki back to 21. Khalid El-Kabasi takes the Masters honours with position 22. He crosses the line just half a second clear of Sali Jolic, who will be happy to have added some more championship points to his standings after a very tough start at Abu Dhabi. And with respect to the Rookie Cup driver classification, Sebastian Montoya came in as the runaway points leader. Certainly he will extend that lead with a 3rd placed finish ahead of Leonardo Fornaroli and Joshua Dufek. Another tough run for the Formula Regional Asian Championship, but it isn't anywhere near complete. A good solid result for Sebastian Montoya to take position number 3. You'll be happy with that because it's conservation, it's championship, it's consistency, and past seasons have shown that the championship top placed getters have been regulars on the podium and certainly regulars in the top 5. You don't want retirements, and so far for Montoya, he's been okay on that front. Another finish inside the top 3. But congratulations to Hadrian David and Pepe Marti, who crosses the line in position 2. Make sure you join us tomorrow at 9:50 a.m. UAE time for race number 5 of the 2022 Formula Regional Asian Championship.